Hey everybody, welcome to Murphy's Law. I'm Eric Murphy, and with me today is nobody. I don't have a guest today. But I want to tell you a little bit about what happens when this kind of thing happens. You see, it's definitely not the first time I've been in this situation, and I can kind of trace it back. I mean, what do you do when you're getting ready for a live show and your co-host isn't there, or you're sick, or you don't get any callers? How do you fill in? How do you tackle that? I know that when it first happened to me, I was not expecting it. I mean, yes, there were the first few episodes where there was a while that there were no callers, but I had, Jamie to go back and forth with. But I remember the very first time I didn't have that. It was very early into season 2. And that day I came in and I didn't have a co-host. And so that day I found out at the last moment that I was going to be going on alone. Check it out. Hey everybody, welcome to Talk Heathen. Today is Sunday, February 4th, and it is season 2, episode 4. Thank you for tuning in. I am flying solo, I think, today. Jamie is unfortunately busy, but... Okay, so it wasn't that bad. It picked up and I wound up having a lot of fun with people. I was really grateful that there were enough callers that were able to keep it interesting and moving forward, and there was still a live studio audience with a lot of people, and that was very energizing, so I was able to kind of build off of that. And then, let's see. Ooh, I know. There was another time when the power went out. Just entirely. We got in, we were getting ready, and just everything stopped. Everything shut down. And you know what? I think I described it on that episode. Here, check it out. Okay, so here's the deal. The power went out about an hour ago, and we looked outside, and there was a live wire out on the street. Cars were going. It was sparking all over the place. We had no idea what was going on. But I do want to say thanks to our amazing crew. Our president authorized an expenditure which he is allowed to do to get to get
and
several
I'd like to say a
generators
special
out.
thank you to Silas and Vern and
so
Mark
much.
and this fool.
Well, you know
to
what I did?
everyone, really.
We really were lucky. We were lucky that we had an amazing crew who were there. I mean, at the very last second, they were running out to get generators. Everything was set up outside of the building. We had power cables running in windows that were powering only those things that were needed to get the show out. And it was only because of prior planning from people like Vern, the Lord of the Levels, who had thought, what would we do if this happened? So when it did happen, we had a plan. And yes, that entire episode, Jamie and I were just sweltering. I mean, you'll just see sweat dripping off our faces if you go back and watch it. And still, the show went on. We still engaged with callers. And the funny thing is, it was maybe a week later, nobody remembered that we had this insane event. But to those of us who were there, it was something we bonded over. I felt so bad for the people who had flown all the way out to see the live show that I went and I got just cases of ice cold beer for people who are old enough to drink it, and cold drinks. And people went out and got water, and we just got together and we bonded over it. And so that was okay, right? You make the best out of what you have. You make lemonade out of the lemons that you're handed. And that's exactly what we did. What I did is I went down to the corner store and got a couple cases of beers.
He was working on morale from the very beginning.
Yeah. Heck yeah, and keeping all of you on Facebook who have been keeping up with our updates, updated on what the heck is going on. But then there are other times when it's just you, when you're the problem. I remember my very first Christmas episode at the end of season 1. If you take a look, I'm actually wearing this big, thick jacket. And I wasn't wearing it for costume. I had the flu and the chills. And it was all I could do to get to the studio. And I did. And I sat and did the episode. And something interesting happens when you're hosting. I don't know how to describe it, but when you sit down and you turn on, everything else goes away. If you're in pain, that pain will wait until you're done. And so we did that episode, and then afterward, that's when I needed to go home and be very, very sick. But you keep moving ahead. You keep trying. You keep working at it. And the interesting thing is even though it may seem glaringly obvious to you, it isn't. Not to everybody else. And that took me a while to understand. I remember time after time there were those issues. And so, what do? You remember why you're here. At least, I'm giving you a little bit into my dialogue. Let's go back to that first clip that I showed. And maybe I can tell you a little bit. See, here I am. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please let there be callers. Oh, please, give me at least enough. Let me have enough to move forward. Because regardless, I'm going to keep this going. The crew is there. The audience is there. The camera's on. People have expected this. And we're going to keep moving ahead. And I was incredibly lucky. But man, was I scared. I was terrified. All the way up until the moment I was shaking. I could not believe it. And afterward, I walked away just shaking. But when the camera turned on, so did I. And that's not unique. That's something that is amazing about hosting, is you get that. And you know, I know this isn't going to be a particularly long episode, because what else do I have to say other than it stinks when you don't have your guests, but that doesn't mean that you don't have something to say. And today it gave me the opportunity to show you and tell you just a little bit more behind the scenes of what happens when this happens, when the worst happens. But here's the funny thing. Sometimes when you feel alone, when the time comes, you find out you aren't. See, through all of that, there was still the crew. And when there wasn't a guest at the last minute, I was lucky enough to find people like this.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm not Jamie. What is this?
Dan?
Hey, what's
Objectively,
up?
Dan?
Hey, how's it going?
How's
Eric?
it going?
Hey.
And it wasn't just Dan either. Because what I found is that it wasn't just in front of the camera, but behind the scenes. Over this time that I've been here, over this time that I've gotten to host, I've got to meet the most amazing, incredible, kind people. People who I looked up to, whose books I read, who were actual leaders, people who were getting things done in the movement, people who were making a difference in the world, people who were going out and actually fighting for the separation of religion and government. I mean, they were actually there. I got to meet heroes of mine, people who I saw when I was deconverting, who helped me find a voice. I got to make friends. And I don't just mean any friends. I got to meet people who I think I'm going to have for a lifetime. People who I see every day. People who I consider family. I got to meet people from all over the world. And I'm incredibly lucky. Because those friends, people who Well, not all of them I got to keep, but I cherish nonetheless. People who mean the world to me still. People who I count myself lucky to have gotten to be a part of their life. And so that's what I hold on to. I hold on to those and cherish those moments that we got to pull together, that we got to put on a show, that we got to help people and reach out and connect. Because even when everything feels like it's falling apart, you learn that you don't have to go through it alone. And that's the beauty of this community, is we're not going it alone. And I'm so lucky to have gotten to learn that. So here's to another 4 seasons, and then another 4 seasons after that, and 10 to 20 seasons later. I want to stay here. I've got other work to do, yes. I've got other projects, absolutely. But this is my bread and butter. This is something that I cherish. And for all of you, to all of you who got to make this happen for me, whose lives I got to be a part of, who I had no idea that you were going to make such a big difference in my life. And now I couldn't imagine it without you. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I'm putting a thank you as well to patrons. So stay tuned, because I'm going to be listing out the patrons after this. I know this is a different format, so let me know what you think in the comments. And if you like it, I'll try to do more like this. And if you don't, cool, let me know that too. Until next time, take care, everybody.